Good afternoon and welcome back. We've had quite a day and quite some sessions, very informative, very insightful, and we're looking forward to the rest of the day. We do not have a video to play, but we have something special. Mzwanele will be doing the presentation live. So Mzwanele, thank you so much for joining us, and our delegates are ready to engage with you. So you have the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hel, for the warm welcome and good afternoon to all the delegates and participants that are joining us this afternoon. So from the Department of Small Business Development, I think we are really proud to be partners with Proudly SA, because we do realize that in order for us to make a huge impact to the economy of this country, there is no way one department will do this all only by themselves. So it is really through fostering partnerships. So this is a great opportunity for us to just also highlight, some of the things we're doing. I'm going to talk briefly about the Department of Small Business Development. That our mandate, it's very simple, is to support the development and growth of small businesses in the country. And as you know, it's never easy to start and run a business. People who talk of that whole ecosystem will actually tell you that you need a whole lot of things. You need capacity building, you need to be allocated a mentor, you need to have a business advisor, you need funding, you need to network with other SMMEs. And I think from our experience, some businesses even find it difficult, to network with other entrepreneurs for whatever reasons. But we do see businesses forming up associations and networks so that it's easier for businesses to get information just for the free flow of information. And I'm hoping in South Africa, we're going to escalate this thing of networking and collaborating, and then also learn, from what other people are doing in South Africa. So we have two agencies, the Small Enterprise Development Agency, SEDA in short, and one of my colleagues will be speaking this afternoon at 2, mostly about what SEDA is doing. So please don't miss that session, because it's very key and critical just for all the enterprises we work with. We will really love to see them as clients of SEDA. And so SEDA will talk more about what they do. Yesterday, I believe one of our agencies also got featured, the Small Enterprise Finance Agency, CFA in short, and they are really responsible for funding. And I think this morning's sessions, the number of entities that spoke on funding, IDC, NEF, and so there's South Africa, at least to some extent, we do have DFIs that are there to support entrepreneurs. Again, it's not easy, as I saw a number of questions, people asking, so accessing funding is never easy. Then in the department, one of the things we're really doing, which we want to master, is the issue of market access. So this topic is very important for us in the department, because you can be good in producing a product, you can be good in rendering a service, but if there is no one buying that service, honestly, it's a futile exercise. You can be given funding, you can be given machinery, equipment, people can buy you vehicles, you can be given infrastructure, but if you don't have people that are going to buy your product or service, that's just an investment that goes down the drain. So market access is very key. So I'm just going to highlight for just 5 minutes a policy that we developed, and it got approved by Cabinet in 2020. This policy is called the SMME Focused Localization Policy Framework. And And I'm just going to highlight, why we developed this policy framework and what are its objectives. So there are just 7 aspects I'm going to touch on this localization policy framework, and then we'll open up a conversation for questions. The first objective of this framework is we want to build the manufacturing capacity and capability of SMMEs in the country. Why are we doing that? We're doing that precisely because there isn't a lot of small businesses involved in manufacturing. We are fortunate at least to have some of the businesses we work with. I think from our database overall, we possibly have about 400 SMMEs that are involved in manufacturing. But that 400 is really nothing when you look at the number of products that we import and the number of products that we buy from all the retail stores. So you can clearly see, from our research, there's actually more products we import than we export. But thanks to COVID, at least the current account in South Africa had a surplus, meaning we were now exporting more than we import. I'm hoping that's a trend we can even continue to do. In other words, we must export more to other countries. But again, I think that that's never easy because manufacturing is very expensive. Machinery, equipment, your infrastructure, the facility, all of those things must be accredited. So it comes very expensive. But nonetheless, I think we're making a determination to support SMMEs to go into venture into manufacturing as well as agro processing, because food, let's not forget, the food is something we consume every day. Then the second objective, which is key for us, is to then do a coordinated import replacement plan. So the more we get small businesses in the manufacturing space, the more we can contribute in reducing imports. And I think for us, we are talking of a coordinated approach here. I know, when we talk import substitution and import replacement, people get mad at us thinking we are going to replace all imports. That's not our intention. There's no country, or maybe shall I say, there's very few countries in the world that will totally, not have imports coming in onto their shores. So we want to make a contribution there so that SMMEs can also contribute in reducing imports. And I think if you look at the 1,000 products that we compiled, we published these on our website, you will see, some of the products that we import, it's products that small businesses can produce given an opportunity. And then the third objective, which is very key, then talks to the issue of market, the route to market. And here, colleagues, there's 2 aspects. There is the private sector market, where as DSPD, we are working with a whole range of SMMEs and linking them to private sector value chains. And I think it's not an easy thing to do because the retailers already have established suppliers, that they've had these suppliers for the last 100 years. So to bring on new brands is never easy. But I think we have to do it. We have to lobby, we have to negotiate, we have to persuade them. Hopefully they will see the bigger picture, that if they do not transform their supplier databases, they are contributing to unemployment as well. And then the second aspect of market access is also through public procurement. Public procurement is still a bit of a tricky one. Those of you who listen to news are aware of what's happening in the public space. And we are hoping that the procurement regulations, is going to be transformed. And so we are lobbying as a department to get that Procurement Act overhauled so that, it can embrace all the citizens of this country. For now, we believe SMMEs are competing with large enterprises, and there's no way you will see some of the contracts awarded to small firms. But we'll continue to lobby with the support of all the players that we work with. And then the fourth area is also export penetration, because we do believe SMMEs can play a key role in exporting their products. Firstly, start with SADC, with the neighboring countries. And I'm so excited to see some of the SMMEs we work with already exporting to Lesotho, to Swaziland, to our neighboring countries. And I think we want to see more of that happening. And some SMMEs, you'll be surprised. I mean, they're exporting even without government support. And so they take those initiatives because they see opportunities. And I think we love those entrepreneurs, because for us, those are real entrepreneurs. Whether there's government support or no government support, they're going to wake up and run their businesses. And I think there's the African continental free trade area that we shouldn't forget. So we urge all entrepreneurs to really familiarize themselves with that framework so that they can also take advantage of opportunities just within the African continent. Forget about exporting to Europe, exporting to already, I mean, there's still a crisis in Ukraine and Russia. So you're not going to be easier for some of the SMEs to export to some of these countries. And then the fifth area is the area of skills development. Here, I'm not going to even spend time. Skills development is just very key. Where we work with universities, with TVET colleges, we work with CETAs. CEDA is there, in fact, to run with this program of skills development, because we need SMMEs that are sharp, SMMEs that are smart. If you need to negotiate, and I see Dumelo this morning was talking about issues of registering your trade, your IP. So SMMEs mustn't lag behind in all of these things, so that people don't steal your technology, people don't steal your IP. Then the second last area is the area of innovation and digitalization. On Monday, people were saying there is no fourth industrial revolution, whatever you want to call it. But we're doing things virtually, we're doing things online. Belinda was previously just presenting on RSA Made, where you can have your retail shop online. And I think that's what we want to promote. Remember, big companies have lots of resources. They can build malls, and unfortunately, small businesses can't afford those rentals, but at least you can afford to create your platform or even use RSA Made just for exposure, to get exposure, so that by the time we negotiate on your behalf, at least you have some footprint. And then the last area then is the area of funding. I'm hoping CIFA has touched on this area as well as other DFIs, but funding for us is very critical. So what we do when we onboard SMMEs that are ready for the retail market, we obviously, we know sometimes offtake agreements is difficult to get those, but at least we persuade the retailers to somehow make some confirmations so that the funding institution get comfort that this enterprise is going to be supplying this retailer. They might not necessarily have the volumes, they might not necessarily have all the specifics, but at least if they can just make that commitment, for us, it gives us comfort. We can recommend you to CIFA and say, CIFA, can you kindly work with this enterprise? Because this enterprise is going to be listed by a retailer we are working with. So there is a manufacturing support scheme that we designed also in 2020, so that all the SMMEs that are in the space of manufacturing can receive support through the manufacturing support program. So, Chair, I think let me pause here and then we'll take questions. Thank you.
Mzwanele, thank you for that. It was so informative and it was so interesting. Let me not take up the delegates' time. I'll go straight into questions from Mr. Sipho Butulezi. Thank you so much for this. Do you facilitate the incubation of the small business? And if so, what steps are involved?
We do not necessarily facilitate the onboarding of SMMEs to the incubation program that Colin is going to talk about at 2:00. But what we recommend is, at least with CEDA, they have branches across the country, and there might not be a branch closer to your town, depending on where you are based, and I'm sure you can get all the details. So they do list all the incubation programs or incubators on the CEDA website. So whoever has an interest, if you're interested in furniture, or you're interested in essential oils, or you're interested in agro-processing, so those incubators are all listed there. So I think you can submit the application, and I think Colin will possibly talk to all the nitty-gritties of what are the requirements, what must you meet. But from our side as the department, whenever an SMME is from an incubation program, CEDA will also supply us with a list of businesses that they have trained, they have capacitated, and that they believe these are ready to hit the market. So our role in the department is really just to do market linkages. So from time to time, I mean, we talk to all the big retailers so that they can just open up opportunities for small businesses. So, but in order for you to be ready, at least one of our agencies is there to make sure you access all that support and capacity. And thank you for that question.
Thank you, Mzwanele. So well, you heard it here first. Tune in at 2:00 and we'll have more answers to your question. Tim Damons, for export assistance, does the Department of Small Business assist in helping SMMEs to find new potential buyers in the SADC countries?
Yes, definitely. Whilst personally I'm involved in domestic markets, I do have my colleague in the department who deals with international markets. So her role is also to talk to all the embassies. Her role is to talk to all the other partners and other governments in SADC, but also not in SADC, throughout the African continent. But as you know, South Africa is part of BRICS. There are also BRICS summits where my colleagues who are involved in international trade will facilitate opportunities for South African SMMEs to access opportunities in other BRICS countries. But also South Africa, being a member state through the DTIC that has multilateral agreements with other countries all over the world, my colleagues do get invited that deal with international trade to participate in those bilateral agreements, just to look at whether there are any opportunities for SMMEs. So definitely, yes, there are opportunities. So if you are interested in exporting your products, it's something we welcome. So definitely, you can keep in touch with us.
Fantastic. Thank you for answering. Tim, I hope you had an answer. Mzwanele, we are running out of time. There are a couple of questions. Is it okay to email you these questions so that you can then respond to these delegates?
Yeah, so in order to reach us, so all the SMMEs that are in the manufacturing space and the localization space, we have an email address that they can use, localization@dspd.gov.za. Localization has an S, not a Z. If they can kindly use that, Chantel has actually typed it up there on the chat. So you can use that email address, and then we'll engage with you and interact with you and see how we can support you. And those also who are interested in international markets, we can also refer you to our colleagues that deal with international markets.
Thank you very much. Just to confirm that email address, I heard you say localization at the DSBD. Is there a the in there? Chantal has just said localization.
That's correct, dsbd.gov.za.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
There's
the email address, so we will not be taking your emails and sending them to Mzwanele. Please use this email address here, and he will then they will then get in touch with you. Mzwanele, thank you. Thank you for the time you've taken. Thank you for the preparation. And
thank you.
We hope that you have a good afternoon. We'll see you in the next session.